What is going on, guys? Today we have another fragrance from the house of Jovoy, and this is in the top three most mentioned. Need to cue this up real quick. Top three most mentioned from the Jovoy house, and we're approaching the end. We're almost inside the top three, at least on my power ranking. So I'm expecting nothing less than above average material here. So strap up and let's go for that ride.
Okay, feeling for two. I watch that head move side to side as I let this in into the room. You are on top, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. From the house of Jovoy, we have Remember Me. And I'm going to load up the test strip. We'll go skinny side tonight just because I'm feeling in the mood. And, ooh, got a little bit of Dior Homme type of whiff in the air. Let me read this for you guys. How many times have you let yourself be taken by surprise and found yourself enticed by a fragrance wafting from a cafe terrace, captivated by the scent of a secret garden, or perhaps beguiled, I don't know what that word is, by an unforgettable perfume worn by a stranger in a crowd? And how many times have you secretly wished to be that anonymous stranger who captivates merely by virtue of a perfume? Like perfectly formed exotic dancers, frangipani flowers engage in an elaborate spellbinding choreography. Okay, so we've got exotic dancers, we've got some mystery person in the crowd with perfume. As the enchantment takes a hold, a plume of traditional chai tea perfects the charm. Ginger and cardamom. Okay, I don't want to read the notes. And let's just see how many people have tried this. 4.2 out of 5 for 2,300 votes. So that means it's starting to creep into mass appeal territory. Let's see what we got our hands on. Oh, that's nice. Oh, man. Wow. Wow. Okay, this is extremely signature, but it's not an original. This is a kind of Dior Homme intense vibe, but it's different. It's different. There's a heavier dose of like a ashy, powdery vanilla. Not quite like Memoirs of a Trespasser, which feels very like dry pages from a library with a candle lit and you know, some dry vanilla or something. No, this is like almost creeps into Bath and Body Works vanilla, but it's toned down by florals. It feels like Dior Homme Intense with a little bit more emphasis on vanilla rather than lavender. And then it has some really cool spices in the background and florals and perhaps even some greenery. Cool twist on a Dior Homme Intense profile. Like, I feel like, so let me say this. A lot of people were upset when Dior Homme Parfum came out. And for those of you who aren't familiar on the differences between Dior Homme Intense and Parfum, Dior Homme Intense is a creamy, powdery, lush purple flower iris, cosmetic-y, lipsticky, all that stuff, right? But then a lot of people don't know about Dior Homme Parfum, which is essentially the same thing, only it's fresher. So it's got an air to it. The creaminess of iris is now changed into kind of a dustiness, almost like a slightly spiced. The powderiness turns into like an ashy dust. And so that just freshens it up and gives it like a wafting air to it that just makes it feel more versatile. Dior Homme Intense is traditionally known for being like a sexy date night fragrance or just a seductive romantic style of perfumery. And Dior Homme Parfum hit the scene and kind of made it feel more versatile. Like, it's still sensual, it's still seductive, but you don't necessarily have to wear a date to go on it. If you just want to be an attracting looking man with some versatility, it's still a more colder weather scent, but you can kind of creep it into daytime as long as the weather's right. Certainly a fragrance with an insane scent trail and just magic in the air. Good longevity, stays on your skin forever. Next day, smell it on your jacket. This is a more playful, I think, girly take on the Dior Homme Intense DNA because of its emphasis on vanilla, spices, and just the forwardness of the vanilla. Whereas I feel like the kind of lavender iris touch really overcoats Dior Homme. Such a good fragrance, though. I would buy this in a heartbeat. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10, at least. And maybe it'll grow on me to being a 10 out of 10. Let's swap windows here. As you guys can see, like, you wouldn't even think this is Dior Homme Intense. But it's got such a high rating. It's entry-level gourmand. Top notes, cardamom, lemon, and bergamot. You really get that. Like this reminds me of like a little bit, the tiniest bit. It's the same vanilla style as Kerosine's Unknown Pleasures, which I've described as smelling like lemon cupcakes in a cold ice cream parlor. And you can tell with this kind of cardamom spice, lemon, and bergamot, it's more lemony. And so you get that lemon spice top. The tea ginger combo, I don't make out too much, but maybe that's just changing up the character. Frangipani or frangipani, I don't know how to say it. White flowers, tropical floral note with a citrus nuance. I feel like I get a lot of what I expect that to be. Okay, so rather than iris, this milk accord is what's giving it that creaminess. So it's like lemon and vanilla. That's what it is. It's lemon and vanilla. It feels a little bit powdery, a little bit ashy. And it's just got all this dimension in the back from tea, ginger, florals, and woods. It's almost like they took the structure of Dior Homme Intense and just built something different with the same concepts. Like the longer this sits, and matter of fact, let me put that on skin. I really wanted to get Unknown Pleasures from Kerosene, like a full bottle. I have a tester of it. But after smelling this, my fear with Unknown Pleasures was that I'm not really a gourmand guy. So even though I loved the smell of lemon cupcakes in a cold ice cream parlor, I was like, where would I wear this? This is like a me thing, like in my office. I almost wouldn't want anybody to know that I'm wearing a fragrance like that. Okay. So I'm so glad I put that on skin. On test strip, it feels very like Dior Homme style of composition as far as texture, but they've removed the iris and the vanilla and did more of like a milky vanilla lemon cake type of feel. But on skin, wow, this is why you have to put stuff on skin. So now I know I do prefer Unknown Pleasures over this, simply because on skin, and this is just my skin, so don't assume this will happen to you. On my skin, what feels like the frangipani, I'm so sorry. I know I'm probably botching that. Matter of fact, let's go to school for half a second. This is about learning. You know, it's about teaching you guys, but sometimes it's about learning. Let's see if we can go on YouTube and hear somebody pronounce this word. We're going to learn together, and I'll try not to make it too... Oh. I apologize so much for that remix there on screen. Let's see if this guy says it.
Here's everything you need to know about plumerias. Plumerias.
Okay, so plumeria is just another name for it. That's much easier to say.
All right, we just rolled up on the first find of the day. What do we got, bud?
Got some plumeria.
Nice.
Okay, so everybody's saying... Okay, let's go back out. Let's not waste too much time, guys. Okay, so we're going to call it plumeria because apparently people are more comfortable saying that than frangipani or frangipani. I don't know. I get more of that floralness, that white floral tropical feel on skin, almost to the point where I almost lose some powderiness. The lemon is still super there. It kind of has a lemon cupcake vibe, but in the most white floralish way. So picture like Musk Therapy from Initio with a splash of lemon and milk. So like kind of like a lemon cupcake accord within that white floral batch. And now it makes it feel more feminine. Is this a unisex fragrance? It is. Okay, so that makes more sense. I would say on the test strip, it feels sexy unisex where it goes masculine on men, feminine on women. But on my skin, it feels very feminine leaning. Like almost a vacation fragrance with elegance and class rather than being overly playful. But it's got something going on in the background where it's not entirely feminine. Yeah, I prefer Kerosene's Unknown Pleasures to this. But then again, I don't have a lot of wear time on my skin either, so I hesitate to say that. You know, my skin doesn't do this fragrance a lot of justice. I think you definitely have to try this. 9 out of 10 on the initial impact of the fragrance. On skin, this feels very much like it doesn't fit me. But on somebody, I would imagine they would call this an 8 or a 9. Women, at least. I wonder if this really if this could just sit down a little bit and calm down, it would be in a similar vein of like Herba Pura, but scratch the DNA entirely and just use like lemon cupcakes and white florals. If it could calm down, it could go there. So as a man, if you're into that style of perfumery, I would say texturally it feels like Dior Homme Intense, but scent profile on my skin, it feels more like a Herba Pura had a baby with white musk therapy from Initio, but it is feminine leaning. Yeah, I mean, I think I give it an 8, but I don't. This is one of those situations where I don't feel comfortable rating it because it feels feminine on my skin. If it could sit down long enough, I might give it an 8 or I think I would give it an 8. It's just not quite my style. But I think politically, people would give it like a 9 if it really spoke to them. It's got a 4.2 out of 5 on 2,300 votes. That's substantial. That means more people like it than not. Now, of those people, how many of those are men and how many of those are women? Who the heck knows? But if this could sit down, it would be a nice, slightly tropical feeling, slightly Dior Homme Intense feeling, floral lemon, you know? Feels tropical, though. Okay. Cold weather, fall, winter, feminine leaning, ageless as far as ladies is concerned. Men, you got to be a confident man to wear this. I would call it 30 and up. Even though a lot of young people, young males really like Herba Pura, this one is not, it's less musky and fresh and really leans on that kind of tropical white floral lemon kind. So the type of confidence a younger guy could have wearing this, it would still feel slightly out of place. But if you're into gourmands, definitely scan it. I definitely think everyone should at least put their nose to a DNA profile like this because it is entry-level gourmand. So I think if you want to love gourmand or want an intro into it, this fragrances like this and Angel Share and other stuff are kind of entry-level, set the tone fragrances for getting your nose around what a gourmand could do. Sprays on this feels a lot like, you know what this feels like? Matter of fact, we did this on the last episode, but I know you guys appreciate the way I break down a fragrance. Let me try one more thing. We haven't reviewed this yet on the channel, but this is Casa Marati's Lyra. And I do have a bottle of this. I want to spray this because this is the only thing in my collection currently that I feel is close to this. I do have Unknown Pleasures, but as a decant. I actually have a bottle of Lyra. And so let's just see how that sits on skin because I might be able to make an additional recommendation to you guys. So if you guys could just wait half of a second, let's give you guys some useless information you don't care about. So this fragrance came out in 2018 and they classify it as a citrus gourmand. Ginger and cardamom set ablaze in an irresistible cloud of milky gourmand notes, a spell in the guise of a perfume that murmurs, "Remember me." Actually, let me show you guys this while this dries down. A lot of you guys always ask me like, hey, I have Bleu de Chanel. What can I find that's like it? I want something else. Questions like that. remember that you can use Fragrantica as a really useful tool. So here you can see everything else that's in the line, right? But if you keep scrolling down, you get to performance and how many people voted in affirmation of these. So you can vote on them yourself. If you want to, they show you these notes, but people then vote on them to say how much of each note they really make out. So in this case, a lot of people make out the milk and black tea is what they're claiming. Fragrantica is all over the place in terms of trustability, but I think you can look at enough of the information on here to kind of be steered where you want to go. But this section is really nice. This perfume reminds me of, and then as we see here, I Don't Need a Prince from By Killian. We've got some Xerjoff, some Lattafa. Like, they don't just put designers or niche fragrances. They put clones because people vote on these. And you see the votes if people agree or disagree. Like, this wouldn't be a good reference because, 277 people disagreed that this reminds them of that. This 6-2 on this Myth fragrance. And you can move down the line and just see. Anyways, dry down is good. So let's go back to me now. And let's try this Lyra. See, Lyra sits down with this composition. And Lyra feels like a kind of vanilla lemony. Matter of fact, I'm not going to take you guys out of screen. This Remember Me feels more vibrant, and the floral has like a real airiness to the gourmand vanillic milky lemon note, whereas Lyra kind of sits down, feels more cozy, more sensual, closer to like a Ani or something like that. But it is an entry-level gourmand as well, I feel. It's like a perfectly unisex gourmand, beautiful vanilla scent. Yeah, I just love the way Lyra comes off. So if you want something better than Remember Me, go Lyra, and perhaps even go Kerosene's Unknown Pleasures, even though I can't speak to that as much because I don't have a full bottle. But Lyra, I think, is just a smoother blend overall, and it's more truly unisex. I don't get the sense from Lyra that it's feminine leaning, at least in its category. Okay. I think I've said everything. If you have any questions about this fragrance, definitely let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can stay in tune to all of the content that I'm dropping. Have you put your nose to this fragrance? If you do, give me your feedback or ask me any questions, and I'd love to answer it for you. This was the fourth to last fragrance from my Jovoy review, and this is Remember Me from Jovoy, which is a Paris house. Okay, hope you guys are blessed. Have a great and wonderful week, and until next time, peace.